So in this video, we're going to be looking at QnA Maker and how we can use it to build a chatbot with no code. So QnA Maker falls under the Cognitive Services suite. And if you go to the homepage, as it suggests, FAQ to bot in minutes. So when we think of chatbots, there's different categories. You have some chatbots that may be specializing in a particular domain that do task automation. For instance, I need access to Visio, in which case the chatbot will eventually automate the raising of an incident or request in the IT service management context. But the other very common scenario is bots that can ask questions, receive questions, and then provide answers. What is the weather tomorrow, or what time is my meeting with Steve? So to build a chatbot, we need to construct a knowledge base. Now, QnA Maker will expect that you may have some data already sitting somewhere. So maybe it's a page on SharePoint that has a list of frequently asked questions, or it's a product manual that has some Q&A type data in a file. Otherwise, we can craft the knowledge base manually. Then in a single click, QnA Maker will extract the Q&A pairs, create the knowledge base, and train the model all in one step. And then finally, when we publish, we'll receive a HTTP endpoint which we can interact with. So to get started, you'll need a Microsoft ID to log into QnAMaker.ai. Once you're logged in, click on Create a New Service. In this example, we're going to create one based off Tesla's frequently asked questions. So this is the URL that I'll be using. We'll provide our service a name. You can supply data in the format of files, URLs, or start from scratch. In this case, we'll paste our URL. And that's it. So once you've clicked create, behind the scenes, QnA Maker will scrape that content, extract the Q&A pairs, and would have trained the model. So we can go straight to publish. Within a couple of minutes, we already now have our endpoint. So to test this, while QnA Maker has its own embedded testing capability, I'll show how this can be done in Postman. So we'll paste the host, copy and paste the endpoint. We'll change our type to post. We need to specify our header to have a content type of JSON. And our last header is the subscription key. So within the body, QnA Maker provides us some sample data in terms of how we can ask a question. So, what does range mode do? So you can see here, because we've asked a question pretty much the exact same format, it's come back with a high degree of confidence. But if we change the format to how does range mode work? As the user, I'm still looking for the same answer, but I've asked the question in a slightly different way. I'd expect that the answer it's picked, it's still the same. So it still has linked that up with what does range mode do, even though I've asked how does range mode work. It's just the degree of confidence is slightly lower. So QnA Maker has an active learning aspect where we can nudge the questions and answers in the right way and replay old chat logs. I won't cover that in this scenario, but that's the idea, is that you not have to ask the questions in the exact manner in which they're supplied in the knowledge base. And as the service gets more and more data, will get increasingly smarter and can kind of cater for a whole bunch of different scenarios. So that's it. At this point, we've supplied we've created our service, which, if you're a web developer, you can use QnA Maker standalone. So when we think of a chatbot, such as like in Slack, we have our Slack bot. The only thing that's missing now is this interface. So there's nothing stopping you as a web developer from tapping into that web service and building out your own interface. Now that obviously requires code from that point. But this video was to show how we can do it with no code. So in the next video, I'll show how we can integrate our QnA Maker service with Azure Bot Service and deploy to Slack with no code. So yeah, check out the next video.